to the Quran, what people don't know is Thomas Jefferson, founding father, actually bought his Quran from England, purchased it in 1965 as a law student, and he had all these different texts from different religious communities. He himself wasn't that religious, in fact, didn't really care for Islam, but reading the Quran and embracing DEI made him more open to religious tolerance and pluralism. And his Quran is now part of the Library of Congress. And his Quran, in part, and all the religious texts that he used, inspired him to write about religious liberty, which is
Why didn't Muslim nations get inspired by DEI? Where's that robust, vibrant diversity in Saudi Arabia or Qatar? Where are their percentages, their quotas? Like, how many non-Muslims in positions of leadership do we have in the Arab Emirates? What about Pakistan? How many human beings of decent, pure European stock are in positions of power in Pakistan through diversity quotas? Because they have to have read the same Quran like Jefferson, right? It was the same book, so what happened there? What about the freedoms, right? Like the prestigious freedoms that one can enjoy when traveling to, I don't know, the Arab Emirates or something like that. Are women there free? Especially the religious freedoms that a lot of Christians or Jewish people benefit in the Middle East. How do these people manage to come up with these claims and have a serious poker face? Allegedly, and I generally don't know if this is true or not, but individuals are saying in the comment section that no, Jefferson never read the Quran. He had the copy of George Sale's 1764 translation that had almost nothing to do with the true Quran. The translation does not transmit the Quran as Islam understands it. It refrains Islam through a Christian Enlightenment lens. It doesn't really matter, right? Like, you can tell that the whole argument is kind of dumb. Even if he was to actually have read the pure Quran, like, the idea that you get freedom from the Quran is ridiculous. The founding fathers of the United States had freedom of religion for very pragmatic reasons. Like, number one, they saw what's happening with the French Revolution, and they saw all the carnage and the butchery there, and the persecution of the churches, and basically the power struggle that there was in Europe between the church and the state. And more importantly, Europe went through the religious wars. Like, many people today don't realize just what that means. You see, around 25% of the population of where we would place Germany right now was killed or displaced because of the religious wars. Just so you understand, like, the ultimate heretic, Martin Luther, nailed some questions to the Pope on a church door, and millions of people got killed after it, directly or indirectly. And so when you look at the United States and you look at its composition, like, they had various faiths. They had Quakers, they had Catholic, they had Protestants. And again, in Europe, they would literally kill each other. And so America goes, you know what? How about we separate church and state? How about, like, you get to do whatever you want to do, but these are the laws, kind of like the Romans used to do it. It's like, these are the civic laws that you need to follow. This is what's allowed and what's not allowed. But, like, whatever the fuck you pray into, whatever communities you have, that's your business. Okay? Just don't break the civic law. Which, by the way, it's kind of like what Jesus was told in the Bible. Like, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, right? Like, Jesus was born at a time that the Romans worshipped their gods and shit. And he's like, yeah, just give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. I'm the king in heaven, whatever. Like, the American system, in my opinion, is a lot closer to the Bible than a lot of the shit that European nations have pulled during the medieval time. But, about Thomas Jefferson, yeah, he wasn't even a religious person, as far as I know. They had this thing called the Jefferson Bible, which is very interesting. Apparently, they found it after he died. He actually removed all of the miracles and the supernatural from the Bible, and it was just like the Christian philosophy that was left. So, in a way, like, he agreed with Christian principles, but he didn't like any of the mysticism, any of the supernatural. And so, is it possible that he got inspired by other faiths and other religions and incorporated them into his ideology? Kind of yes, kind of no. Again, you gotta understand that this was in Jefferson's timeline. They didn't have internet back then. They didn't have a really good translator that could translate Confucianism to him, right? And so, could he have read some text that may have something to do with the Quran and he got some ideas from there? Yes. But is that the merit of the Quran? No. Because if it was, like, you would actually see the American system in Middle Eastern countries. And again, it's just how human beings work. Like they read things from a lot of places and then make their own mind. It would be incorrect, for instance, to say that Turkey has a democracy because, like, some founding father of Turkey looked at the American system and copied it. Like, it's possible, but if you're going to try to sell me that he got religious freedom from Islam, of all places, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. There's no fucking way I believe. Why would he even do that? When literally the French Revolution was happening and he could have had access to all of their data, right? Like, he could say, oh, this is what happens when you allow the church to start collecting taxes, and the church is an institution you can't tax. It creates animosity and resentment in people. It leads to civil strife. And then the crackdowns on the church is unjustifiable. It goes way in the other direction. What happens if we just have a separation between church and state then? So that whenever the religious people do the grand chimp out, it's like the grand chimp out in their community against their own church instead of the grand chimp out against the state. Like, to me, that sounds a lot more logical and pragmatic and more likely to have happened than him looking at the Middle East and thinking, a religion that puts people to convert under the sword and behaves atheists is actually a great religion for embracing human liberties. Like, come on. No. Now, if you want an example where Islam plays a central role in American politics, then there is this grand heresy that America concocted, which is called the Nation of Islam. And this is a religion that's being rejected both by Sunni and the Shias in the Middle East. They call it a heresy. And the reason is how it appeared. It appeared in 1930 by a man called Elijah Muhammad. And this is why a lot of people say that Islam is anti-racist, or that Islam is for freedom. It's because this heresy was literally built in order to appeal to black people during the Jim Crow era, and it was to give them a sense of identity. Because you see, the white slave owner, he was Christian. But now you have a different revelation. Now you have a different religion, which is Islamic in nature, and it does talk about freedom and liberation. It's kind of like what a lot of the woke Christians have done, like they take the Bible and they try to make Jesus into a social justice activist, right? So you have like this heresy. Well, it's kind of what they did for Islam. Like, they took the Quran and they remade it in a way to sound it like it's against slavery. It's actually very diverse, very anti-racist, right? And it was in the 1930s, so and it did catch on. It was very popular, so much so that Malcolm X would call himself a Muslim as part of the Nation of Islam, while Martin Luther King was a Christian. And this actually created a bit of a problem there, right? Because you have a pastor and you have a Muslim, and they even said that, we're going to put aside our religious differences, right? So even they went with the Thomas Jefferson reasoning. It's we're going to separate the state, like our civil struggle, from the religious. But why doesn't he talk about that then? Like, if you really want to talk about Islam having a role in America's policies, well, this is definitely it, right? Like, no, it was the black people that took Islam, they took the Quran, and they created their own denomination. I don't know if it still survives today. I would actually have to check. I'm not very well versed. I don't even know the specifics of what the Nation of Islam teaches compared to the Sunnis or the Shiites. But I do know it exists. And I do know that everyone thinks it's heretical. Still, let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.